Good evening.
My name is Sherry Williams, and I'll be your moderator for this class. Welcome to the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research. This is a school and not a church, and neither are we affiliated with any religious organization. This school is a non-profit, non-denominational, religious and scientific research organization dedicated to showing proof of the existence of Yahweh, our Elohim, and the operation of his eternal purpose, pattern, and plan operating throughout eternity to this present day. This school was established as a result of a divine vision and revelation given to our founder, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley, in the state of Ohio in the year 1931. We were incorporated in the state of California in the year 1958. We hold classes throughout the United States, Canada, and certain other foreign countries. This Tampa class was established in 1996. At this time, I would like to introduce to you the dean of this class, Dr. Joe Turner, and the secretary, Dr. Jennifer Marshall. In this school, we use the true, correct, and original name and title of the Father, the Word or Son, and the Holy Spirit, which are contained in the original Hebrew text. The true name of our Heavenly Father is Yahweh. It has been improperly substituted by Lord. The true title of the Word or Son is Elohim. It has been improperly substituted by God. The name of the Holy Spirit, manifested in or out of a physical body, is Yahshua. It has been erroneously substituted by Jesus Christ. Lord and God are titles and not names. The Apostle Paul, filled with the Holy Spirit, tells us in 1 Corinthians 8:5 that there are Lords many and gods many. But we now know that each Lord must have a name and each God must have a name also. Elohim is a title, but unlike Lord and God, Elohim is a divine title. That means that Elohim is the title our Creator chose for himself. Jesus is a name, but it is an erroneous name. A minor investigation on your part into a good dictionary or encyclopedia would prove that neither the Hebrew language, the Greek language, nor the Latin language have any letters or characters in their alphabet that would produce the sound that is made by this letter J. Neither was there a letter J in the English language until some 1400 years after the death of the Messiah, therefore making such names as Jesus and Jehovah impossible renderings of the true and original name of our Father and his Son. Christ is a title, just like Lord and God. Yahweh is pure spirit, and in this state he is incomprehensible and inscrutable. He is the ultimate source, substance, limits, and bounds of everything. We have Yahweh in his pure spirit state, symbolized on this chart as a cloud. Yahweh is not a cloud. He merely chose a cloud to symbolize himself, because a cloud has no particular or descriptive shape or form. We have drawn this cloud all around the edges of this chart to show you that everything on this chart is within the cloud. In like manner, everything in the universe abides within the pure spirit state of Yahweh. Yahweh, knowing that man could not perceive of him in his pure spirit state, took on shape and took on form right within himself as Yahweh Elohim. This is the Word or Son, a superincorporeal being that is having the shape and form of a man, but without flesh and blood. This form could only be seen in divine visions and understood in divine revelations. Later on, this self-same spirit manifested himself in a physical body and walked the earth plane as Yahshua the Messiah, whom the world calls Jesus Christ. Now there is only one name given unto salvation, and we must know that name. So the simple yet intelligent question we should all ask ourselves is, what was the name of the Savior during the time he walked the earth plane? A further understanding of this name and title may be had by reading the preface to the Holy Name Bible. Also in this school, we teach by the divine pattern of the universe. It is called a divine pattern because it is Yahweh's pattern. After Yahweh led the children of Israel out of Egypt, He called Moses atop Mount Sinai and showed him the tabernacle pattern in a vision. Yahweh instructed Moses to build one exactly like it in the wilderness of Sinai. This pattern consists of a most holy place, a holy place, and a court round about. These three compartments make up the one tabernacle pattern. We go about in this school to show proof how that everything in the universe is made and operates according to the structure and function of this threefold tabernacle pattern. And absolutely nothing escapes the pattern. Also in this school we have 10 primary constitutional aims or objectives, and they are as follows. First is to help you find and know Yahweh, our Elohim, as he really is and actually exists. Second is to form a nucleus of universal brotherhood of humanity in Yahshua the Messiah without distinction of race, nationality, creed, sex, caste, or color. Third is to investigate the unexplained spirit law, or so-called law of nature, and the powers latent in man. Fourth is to encourage and promote the study of the scriptures, comparative religions, psychology, philosophy, and modern practical and occult science. Fifth is to extirpate current superstition, skepticism, and ignorance. Sixth is to learn, know, and understand the operation of Yahweh's eternal purpose through the dispensations and ages. Seventh is to discern and avoid being deceived by Lucifer, the serpent, the devil, the dragon, or Satan and his demons, operating the mystery of iniquity on earth through the dispensations of time. Eighth is to earnestly contend for the common salvation and faith which was once delivered unto the sons or children of Yahweh. Ninth is to make known that Yahweh from the beginning ordained there is no other name given among men whereby man can be saved, saving the name of Yahshua the Messiah. And 10th is to inherit eternal life now in the kingdom of Yahshua the Messiah with the hope of immortal glorification in the new earth state. Our watchword is peace, and our slogan is speak the truth. We'll have class dedicated in prayer this evening by Dr. Ladora Nicholas, followed by our scripture lesson, which is Ezekiel chapter 28, verses 1 through 19, which will be read by Dr. Jennifer Marshall.
Good evening, class. Let us all bow our hearts in a mind a moment. Just forget about the cares of the world. It's not going to change. Just thank Yahweh that he is still sitting on that mercy seat. You know, and it is a hope for us. Not in this world, you know what I mean, but it is hope for us. You know, so, you know, just thank him. Every minute, every waking moment that we have, you know, our dreams and thought is of Yahweh. Please, you know what I mean? We need this. It's a cruel world out there, and we just need to hold on. Whatever Yahweh has given us, let's just hold on to it. You know, because it's a lot of distractions, and we don't need that. We don't need that. We are our own enemy anyway, so we don't need no other distraction. You know, so with all these blessings, many more, let us all say. Amen.
Hello, everyone. I'll be reading from the Holy Name Bible. One moment, please. Containing the Old and New Testaments. critically compared with ancient authorities and various manuscripts, revised by A.B. Trainer of the Scripture Research Association Incorporated, Brandywine, Maryland. Ezekiel, the 28th chapter, 1 through 19. The word of Yahweh came again to me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith Yahweh, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am Elohim, I sit in the seat of Elohim, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man, and not Elohim, though thou set thy heart as the heart of Elohim. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore thus saith Yahweh, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of Elohim, behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. They shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. Wilt thou yet say before him that slayeth thee, I am Elohim? But thou shalt be a man, and not Elohim, in the hand of him that slayeth thee. Thou shalt die the deaths of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers. For I have spoken it, saith Yahweh. Yahweh Yah. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus saith Yahweh, Thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Elohim. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of Elohim. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee. By the multitude of thy merchandise they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of Elohim. I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. Thou hast defiled thy sanctuaries by the multitude of thine iniquities, by the iniquity of thy traffic. Therefore will I bring forth a fire from the midst of thee, it shall devour thee, and I will bring thee to ashes upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold thee. All they that know thee among the people shall be astonished at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shalt thou be any more. Ezekiel 28, 1 through 19. Here, you do it.
Maybe. Okay, I just want to say a couple things. Yeah. So first, Pam has. Okay. Has anybody worked with this topic? Unanimous. Okay, a little bit. Okay, but one I just as kind of a pointer. One way you can look at this is just simply ask questions like who, what, where, when, why. Probably others, but those are kind of your basics. Okay, so who is the mystery of iniquity? Okay, is it a who, or is it what's plural of who? Many who's. Okay. What is the mystery of iniquity? Okay. Where did it come from? Where is it now? Where has it been in the past? Okay. So you could have, when did it come into being? You see, you could ask, all kinds of, just kind of general kind of things about that. And why would Yahweh create a mystery of iniquity? Okay. Which is, kind of a significant question. Because, the people out here in the world, a lot of them believe in the devil, but, they don't realize Yahweh created them, and they don't understand. And if they did know that, because it was right in the book, they wouldn't know how to answer why. So you said you're thinking about it a little bit. So, okay, why don't you then go ahead and start?
Can I just ask?
Sure.
Because in education we do the 5 W's and how.
And how? How? Yeah. How is he operating?
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. Okay. Our first speaker will be Dr. Tara Burley. Tara Barley.
This goes here, right?
Yep.
Okay. Nope. There we go. No, yeah, that clip, no. I went over it just a little bit, and it goes with the question why the mystery of iniquity was created. But what I found in doing my studies is it has everything to do with the Ezekiel, the 28th chapter. So let's see. Let's start at if I want to go, let's start at the 13.
Ezekiel
Ezekiel 28:13.
28:13. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Elohim. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardis, topaz, and the diamond.
So thou hast been in Eden. So that was here in the garden, the mystery of iniquity was. And people tend to, well, they don't think that Yahweh would create something, evil. They think, Yahweh is just all, good and nothing bad. But Yahweh is the righteousness and then the unrighteous. But what I come to find out is it's like they go together. And I remember when Dr. Joe was saying that in your bone that you have to have, something to tear it down. You have to have something to build it up. And I remember when you was saying that. But it goes together, the mystery of iniquity and Yahweh, because without Yahshua's name is Yahweh is salvation. So without the mystery of iniquity, what would he have? What would we have? What would Yahshua have to save us from? It doesn't make sense. If his name is Yahweh is salvation, that means that he has to have something to save us from. And so the mystery of iniquity, that is what Yahweh is saving us from. And if you go like with the children of Israel, right, they came out of Egypt. And when they came out of Egypt, the mystery of iniquity also came too. And they still had that Egypt, well, that mindset, you can say, with them when they came out here in the wilderness. And even then, you can see, you know that when they had, let's go to the first commandment that Yahweh had gave them. Go to in Exodus. I don't know if it's
20 something.
Is it 20? No, it's not 7.
Three.
Okay, yeah.
Exodus 20:3.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Keep going.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
Okay, so he told them not to make any graven image that is in heaven above or the earth beneath, but they came up and they thought that they saw the Elohim of Israel, but they came and they made this golden calf. Now, with that mindset that they had from Egypt, they thought that this was their God, so they made that golden calf. So when Moses went up to the mount and he came down, and Joshua, which was Joshua, saw that, you know, there was noise in the camp. So when Moses came down and he saw that they made that golden calf, he broke that stone. So it was them with that mindset, with that mystery of iniquity coming up, and Yahweh told them not to make any image, any Elohim, any image. So if they would have not did that, Moses wouldn't have broke that stone. That stone, the first time that he came down here, he had to break that stone. Because the second time when he went up to the mount and Yahweh told him, then that stone got put inside of that tabernacle. And it is interesting because everything that happened, Yahweh knows is going to happen. He set it up, but he allows the mystery of iniquity to use them because it is all going according to his purpose. It has to be according to his purpose. Just like if you have like go to, let me see. It's for, like, I can say it's kind of like chastisement. Like Yahweh will allow the mystery of iniquity to do stuff to you, but he has to get permission from Yahweh to even do anything. The mystery of iniquity has to have that permission to, you know, torture you or, you know, get in your head. He has to, because it's all going according to Yahweh's purpose. And get for me, because they did so many things down here. Like everything that Yahweh told them not to do, they did it. And they did it because it was that mystery of iniquity who had their minds, and Joshua was not in them. So Yahweh had to use them for a purpose, just to set this up, and so that Joshua can come in, because his name is Yahweh is salvation. So he had to come in and save them from all of this stuff that they was not doing, and that the mystery of iniquity was having them to do, because that is the purpose of his name. And get for me Deuteronomy, I think it's Deuteronomy 8 and 5, because Yahweh is going to allow things to happen to you in your physical life and just spiritually, because he has to have this one here to do what his purpose is to do, and he is perfect for the job that Yahweh has called him to do. So get Deuteronomy 8 and 5.
Deuteronomy 8.
And then I want Deuteronomy 11 and 2.
Okay. Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so Yahweh thy Elohim chasteneth thee.
So if a man chasing his son, so Yahweh thy Elohim chasten thee. Get Deuteronomy 11 and 2.
Deuteronomy 11:2. And know ye this day, for I speak not with your children, which have not known, and which have not seen a chastisement of Yahweh your Elohim, his greatness, his mighty hand, and his stretched out arm. So
they got chastised when they was here in the wilderness from everything that they did not do that Yahweh told them to do, because of the mindset that they had down here in Egypt, that they brought up, that they came up with, and all the commandments and all the things that Yahweh told them not to do, because Joshua had not saved them. Joshua did save them, but Joshua was not in them, so that mystery of iniquity was still in them. So Yahweh chastised them. Read that again.
And know ye this day, for I speak not with your children, which have not known, and which have not seen the chastisement of Yahweh your Elohim, his greatness, his mighty hand, and his stretched out arm. Okay, so the children that came up to the land, to Canaan's land, they had not seen that, but the ones that came out of Egypt, they had seen. And that was all of this is going according to Yahweh's purpose, because just like they broke that commandment of not to build that calf,
Moses came down and he broke that stone the first time, and then he went up to the mountain, he came back down, and then that second stone that was written, that Yahweh had written, was put in the inside of the tabernacle. And if you go, let me see, go to where is it? Where I want to go? Go to Job. I think it's the 8th chapter. And this Job is like my favorite story, because it shows how Yahweh is allowing the mystery of iniquity to just use him. And it's to me, it's my I don't want to say favorite, because it's such an example for us to see like everything that he went through and how he allowed the mystery of iniquity to use him. I think it's 8 and where is it? No, I think it's 5 and I want to say start at 8, because when no, I don't even want to do that. Let's start from the beginning. Where he says, how's that have ye not considered my servant?
Job 1.
I think it's 2. Is it 2?
Okay, nope.
1 and 6. Go okay.
Okay, go ahead. Nope, that's not it.
No.
1 and 2.
Job 1 and 2.
Oh, no, I know it's in there somewhere.
Job 1 and 2. 1 and 1.
Make up your mind, baby.
Okay, Job 1 and 1.
Yeah.
There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared Yahweh and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household. So that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east.
Yeah, he was blessed.
And his sons went and feasted in their house, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offering according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed Yahweh in their hearts. Thus did Job continually.
Things coming up now.
Now there was a day when the sons of Yahweh came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan came also among them.
And Satan came also among them. Keep going.
And Yahweh said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And Yahweh said to Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job?
So Yahweh said to Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job? This is Yahweh. And keep going.
That there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth Yahweh and escheweth evil. Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, Doth Job fear Yahweh for naught?
He don't fear you for nothing. Keep going.
Hast now thou made a hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land.
So Satan is saying to Yahweh, Has thou made a hedge? So pretty much you have protected him in all that he have. Go ahead, keep on.
11. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face.
Okay, so Yahweh is setting this up. He need the mystery of iniquity because he's trying to set this up. So he's telling him, put forth thy hand now and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. So we know that that's not going to happen. So if you go to, let me see. Okay, reading down, I think in the 5th chapter, Job is, I think his friends, the 3, where is it? The three men, I think, came down and they sat to him and they talked with him. And Job, he's not cursing Yahweh, but he cursed the day that he was born. He was, just wished that he just died, but he didn't curse Yahweh. So go down to 5 and 8. And this is the man talking to him. I think it's his friend talking to him and telling him, let me see. You might want to do the 12th verse, 1 to 12 first. 1 to 12? Okay. Okay. Yahweh sent to save it. Okay, yeah. Okay, go to that one.
Job 1 and 12. And Yahweh said to Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power.
Mm-hmm.
Only upon
Thank you for that.
Put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of Yahweh.
Okay, so why we need the mystery of iniquity? Because it's Yahweh's purpose, and because Yahweh has to set this up, and his name is Yahweh, is salvation. So he has to save us from this mystery of iniquity. So he is allowing the mystery of iniquity to do these things to Job, and it's no difference from us. How when we go through things, and you say like, why me? Well, why not you? Because if you're a son of Yahweh, then you're going to get chastised. If you're not a son, and it's in the scriptures, I think it's Hebrews 12 and 7.
Also, Tara, if you want to get into Job, because Satan and Yahweh have a conversation twice, and the second one.
Yeah, it's in the second one. Yeah. Hebrews 12 and 7.
Hebrews 12, 7.
Mm-hmm.
If he endure chastening, Elohim dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not?
So what son is he who the Father chasteneth not? So if you endure that chastisement or that chastening, then you are accounted for as a son. But like as the scripture says, what is a son that Yahweh chastise not? So when we come down, sometimes, people say like, I'm going through such and such and all the rest of that. But when I come to think about it, it's kind of interesting, because that Yahweh is working with you, or Yahweh is trying to show you something through the mystery of iniquity. Like he's trying to show you something for your salvation or for his purpose. And it's kind of cool, because it's not for no reason. He's not doing it just cause. He's doing it for a purpose. And here in Job, if you go and get that, it shows, like, it reads like everything was happening, what's going on. Where did I leave off in Job?
Well, you were going to go to 5 and 8.
Yeah.
Job 5 and 8. I would seek unto Yahweh, and unto Yahweh would I commit my cause, which doth great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number, who give rain upon the earth and sendeth waters upon the field, to set up on high those that are below, that those which mourn may be exalted to safety. He disapproveth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. They meet with darkness in the daytime, and grope in the noonday as in the night. But he saveth the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty. So the poor hath hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth.
And iniquity stoppeth her mouth. Keep reading.
Behold, happy is the man whom Yahweh correcteth. Therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty.
Okay, that one right there is like our confirmation. Despise not, like thou, like don't murmur against it. Like do not just just complain about it. Like you have to go through that chastisement. You have to go through just the mystery of iniquity, just beating you up. It's hard, but you have to go through it, because it's for our good. It's for our understanding, and Yahweh is using him for his purpose. Like he is supposed to do that. It's not like Yahweh's just picking on you. Like he's supposed to do that, and you should think about it like I don't want to say you can't be happy, because I know it's not a happy time when you're going through it, but just be glad that, okay, it's something better on the other side. That's why I'm going through what I'm going through, whether it be, you know, like physically or, you know, with your job. Like, it's just kind of be happy about it because you know that Yahweh has a purpose for what he's doing. Keep reading.
I'm sorry. Behold, 17, behold, happy is the man whom Yahweh correcteth. Therefore despise not the chastening of the Almighty, for he maketh sore and buildeth up. He woundeth, and his hands make whole.
He woundeth, and his hands make whole. So go to was one more thing. Revelations, the 12th chapter. And then I'll sit down. There's just a few things that I've noticed, like when just this chastisement, just with Yahweh using the mystery of iniquity for his purpose. Started, I guess, at 2, Revelation 12 and 2.
12 and 2. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads, and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
Hold on, which were you reading out of? The King James?
No, I don't know what this Bible is.
King James?
Mine isn't a King James. I don't know.
Mine started at 2. It said, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, out of the holy name.
Oh, that's 1 in mine. Okay, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven. You said 2.
Oh, I'm sorry.
A woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail grew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth.
Okay, so the mystery of iniquity, again, he's here in heaven, and his tail drew the 3rd part of the heavens. So keep reading.
And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of Elohim, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels.
Okay, so Yahweh knows this, that all of this is going to happen. So there was a war in heaven, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought. Keep reading.
And prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven.
They prevailed not, and their place was not found anymore in heaven. So again, Yahweh is using him for a purpose. He created him. He was perfect in his ways until iniquity was found. Keep reading.
9, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our Elohim.
Read that over one more time.
And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength.
Now is come salvation and strength. And keep going.
In the kingdom of our Elohim.
In the kingdom of our Elohim. So they couldn't have salvation in heaven until that mystery of iniquity was kicked out. So him accusing the brethren day and night before Elohim, all day, every day, until he was kicked out. So now it's come salvation. So that is Joshua saving them again from the mystery of iniquity. So why Yahweh uses him? Because it's for his purpose and because it's for our salvation. And keep reading there where it says for the accuser, where you left off.
And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. So again, it's showing that Yahshua was they overcame them by the blood of the Lord. I can't even see it. They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and we know that is Joshua. So for that purpose, that Yahweh used the mystery of iniquity to accuse the brethren, so he can get kicked out of heaven, cast down into the earth plane. But here it says, "Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth." Where is it?
12.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
Okay, so so he's going to be down here like messing with us, chastising us, and Yahweh will allow it until we have Yahshua, until Yahshua is in us, and then that is our salvation. That is our peace, because without Yahshua, period, there's in the moderation, like there's no other name. Without Yahshua, we have no salvation. And without the mystery of iniquity, Yahshua wouldn't have nothing to save us from, because his name is Yahweh is salvation. So, I mean, there is I know people, I don't want to say a yin and a yang, because I don't really understand the whole thing, but it's cool because they run like, side by side, and it's just, he does something and then Yahweh fix it. He does something, then Yahweh fix it. And it's just like, it's just like, he don't know that he's being used, but Yahweh is using him to build us up. And that's from my understanding, I could be wrong. It's for our purpose. I guess it's just to strengthen us and to strengthen our faith in Yahshua. So that's all I have. But I thought that was interesting. But yeah, Job is, to me, just like the perfect example of everything happening, everything going wrong, and you can't get no worse than that. But Yahweh blesses him. It's interesting because Yahweh blesses him despite he allowed the mystery of iniquity to do everything in the book to him, and then he still come out just so blessed. So that's just an example for us, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Want some water? And our next speaker this evening will be Dr. Janet Franklin. Good evening.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed what Tara had to say, and it was edifying. I went in a different direction with that mystery of iniquity. I need about a week to ponder on things. So I only had about 3 days to think about something. And I was just getting my thoughts together today. But I like to break things down. And so I looked up mystery and I looked up iniquity. And in a little Bible dictionary, you have iniquity. And there are about 70 times in different, up throughout the Bible, actually. But that mystery in biblical dictionary was saying, a religious truth that can only be known by revelation and cannot fully understand, which is crazy, because our seventh aim is to discern and avoid being deceived by Lucifer, Satan, the devil, the dragon, and his demons operating that mystery of iniquity throughout, on earth throughout the dispensations of time. And it also says something strange and unknown or not known that has not yet been explained or understood. But with iniquity, you know, the dictionary, it doesn't do it justice. It says iniquity is a gross injustice or wickedness, a wicked act or thing, disobedience. And that led me to think that, you know, we know who that son of perdition is. We know who that mystery of iniquity is. And we know that he was set up to oppose Yahweh. But his iniquity is disobedience. Disobedience, deceit, spinning his tail, and getting people to believe his tale and not the gospel. And we know the gospel is what, 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4. So the whole world has been under his spell of iniquity. I wanted to pick up 2 Thessalonians 2, 3 through 12, and then 14. Before I do that, what was it, 2 Thessalonians 14, whereunto he called you by our gospel. And then I went to 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4. And that gospel, which is, you know, the gospel of Yahshua the Messiah, how he died and was buried according to the scriptures, and how he rose again that third day according to the scriptures. Now that mystery that is not a mystery because we are learning how to spot it has almost everyone in the world believing that the gospel is actually gospels, and they have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which they're not. There's only one gospel, there's one truth. So if you get me 2 Thessalonians and 2, 3 through 12. Let me see if I...
3 through 12.
Let me see.
Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called Elohim, or that is worshipped, so that as Elohim sitteth in the temple of Yahweh, showing himself that he is Yahweh.
Read that part again.
Not, pardon me?
Read that part again, so that
Yeah, I was
he...
confused about
Okay, so that
who
he...
opposeth and exalted himself above all that is Elohim, or Yahweh, or that is worshipped, so that he as Yahweh sitteth in the temple of Yahweh, showing himself that he is Yahweh.
That's that mystery.
Remember ye not that when I was yet with you I told you these things, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time.
I'm stop you right there for a sec. Now, we know it's Yahweh that restrains us. We know it's Yahweh that controls everything. But that disobedient energy of Satan that beguiles you or tickles your ear would have himself believe that he can sit on high and he'll bring folks in with him. And there are a lot of people that believe a lot of different things, and it's just not so. Go ahead.
7. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom Yahweh shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved.
Exactly. They believed a lie. They went away from their first love. They negated everything that Yahweh Elohim Yahshua did for them in the wilderness of Sinai, did for them when he manifested himself in that spiritual body and died as a propitiatory sacrifice for everyone. It's like they have short-term memory loss. You know, they have the witnesses, they have the historical biblical accounts, or they were there. And they witnessed the miracles or the examples that were given to them. They saw it today and yesterday or tomorrow, they forget it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
11. And for this cause Yahweh shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie.
Exactly, and that's what we have going on in this earth plane today. We have the God of this world, and we have his little imps or minions or whatever. I'm not going to say minions because I call my grandbabies minions. And we have everyone being deceived by every wind of doctrine or whatever else. And yes, Yahweh has a lot of people in a strong delusion so that they will believe the nonsense, you know, because the truth is just too simple. How our Savior died and was buried according to those scriptures, and how he rose according to those scriptures. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Go ahead.
12. That they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. But we are bound to give thanks always to Yahweh for you, brethren, beloved of Yahweh, because Yahweh hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation, through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth, whereunto he called you by our gospel, to the obtaining of the glory of our Savior Yahshua the Messiah.
Hallelujah.
Therefore,
That's it. That's it. I like the whole second chapter, but I'm not finished because I'm still formulating stuff in my mind. So that is as far as I got on this mystery of iniquity, and his purpose, as Tara so eloquently pointed out, his purpose is to be that opposer. His purpose is to deceive. His purpose is to pull the sons of Yahweh away from the truth. You know, it's not our battle, it's Yahweh's battle, because we're no match for Satan, but it is our duty to follow that seventh aim, to learn how to discern and avoid being deceived by any man, any entity that's just tickling your ears and not telling you the truth. And with that, I'll say hallelujah.
And our next speaker this evening will be Dr. Judith Turner.
Yeah.
There.
We have a wonderful new addition to our class this evening. Nothing brings a smile to anybody's face but a brand new baby. Absolutely. I'm sorry?
I said even the little crying.
Even the little
sound.
crying, yeah, there's no worries at all.
Yeah.
But this is kind of interesting how Joel brought this out, because I remember, oh, well, you know, whatever. You know, the longer you're in class, the longer you have a history in class, right? So it was a long time ago in Black Earth, Wisconsin. Okay, we had a class. It was a very interesting little room that we had. It was way down in the basement of a bank. And if you opened up like this metal container on the floor, thing on the floor, there was kind of like a sewage system underneath, or at least water, whatever. It was an interesting place. But anyway, I remember Carl Emler, Diane wasn't there that night, but he called me up, and the subject was the mystery of iniquity. And I always considered myself, I always liked to write, and for a long time, I actually wrote for the Mount Horeb Mail, a newspaper. And this is how you do your articles, okay? All right, you start out with who you're talking about. So who are we talking about here? We're talking about the mystery of iniquity, but he's called what? Satan. And if somebody could look up the definition of Satan, because I'm all about that too, looking up the definition of Satan, okay? He's also got another name, right? Lucifer. All right, so let's look up the definition of Lucifer, okay? The dragon and his demons, you know, we already got that. Revelation, the 12th chapter, we already got it, all right? Okay, and his name, just like with Moses, what was Moses supposed to do? He was supposed to draw the children of Israel up out of Egypt. So even his name is going to say something about what his purpose is. Does anybody have Satan?
I have Satan. In Christian theology, the great adversary.
I think I need it in a concordance. I think I do.
I have shining one,
Uh-huh.
morning star,
Okay, that's Lucifer. He's the son of the morning, right?
of the king of Babylon, and Satan.
Okay. And he's considered the king of Babylon, but he's the son, and I forgot this part, of the morning. Okay, so in other words, he's the son that you're going to see when you wake up in the morning.
Yes.
Oh, joy. What a joy that could be, the son of the morning, right? But basically, he is Satan, and I think if you look it up, Satan means like he's the adversary, he's the opposer. Is that what it says?
Yeah, an
Yeah,
adversary.
Hebrew meaning enemy or adversary.
So Satan is the adversary, and I'm so sorry. I'm going to try not to get too loud because I know I can get loud. I don't want to upset the young'uns. Okay, adversary. Okay, so right within his name, what is his job? To oppose. Okay, and do we read, and we even the scripture reading tonight? Oh, let's just go and get that Ezekiel the 28th chapter, and we'll find out where Satan is, and let's go back to Job the 1st chapter, and let's find out what he was doing before the sons of Yahweh came together. Let's find that out.
You want to start at 1?
Where are you? At Ezekiel? Yep. Go ahead.
28:1.
Uh-huh.
The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, because thine heart lifted up, and thou hast said, I am El. I sit in the seat of Elohim.
Okay, so his heart is lifted up. He sits in the seat of Elohim, and sometimes it's really good when you know who your adversary is. You know, even though he's no match for you, it makes you realize that you really do got somebody who can save you from him. All right, because I am no match. I personally am no match for that satanic spirit, that satanic mystery. All right, no match at all. All right, so get down though, because I want to deal with the where. You know, it talks about every, and really he's talking about the prince of Tyre, and the prince of Tyre is basically, Tyre is a city-state in the ancient civilization of Phoenicia, all right? And they were the merchantmen of the Mediterranean. In other words, they made a fortune trading on the Mediterranean Sea, all right? And basically what Ezekiel is talking about here is this Prince of Tyre is completely, he's like the Vatican many times over. I mean, he's very wealthy. The Phoenician civilization was very wealthy, and that's because they held all the trade routes. They were thought to even go down and around during ancient times around the coastline of Africa and back on up. I mean, they knew how to travel by sea and to trade by sea. All right, so go down where it says, I knew thee when thou wast in Eden. Yeah.
Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Elohim.
Okay, so where has he been? He's been all the way down in Eden, okay? And the reason why we know that he's all the way been down in Eden is because we're not dealing with a physical entity, okay? We're dealing with a mystery that is able to inhabit whatever vessels he's allowed to inhabit, all right? It's by, he allows it. Just like, you know, Tara so eloquently said, Yahweh allowed him. And you know what's really, oh, I don't want to get ahead of, well, I'm just going to say this. But you really ought to, like, really think a little bit more about Job. Because you know what the etymology of Job's name means? His name means hated. And if you think of all those three friends of his, right? Okay, Eliphaz means God of gold, right? And he was the one that was trying to tell Job that he did something against Yahweh, all right? The other dude, his name was Zophar, all right? You look up the meaning of his name, and Yahweh always gives people's names for a purpose. His name means departing or departed. Okay? In principle, I'm working with death. If you're departed from this earth, you've died. All right? And then the other one is Bildad. And all three of these, Eliphaz, Zophar, and Bildad, tried to get Job to admit that he was wrong, that he had done something against Yahweh, and that's why Yahweh is punishing him. Every single one of them, without getting into a lot of detail. All right? And Bildad means confusing love. Now there's love that's understood, and then there's a love that's confusing. And you try to read through that, and sometimes it is a little confusing. But then there is Elihu, the young child, right, at the very end. Okay, the verse 32. And Elihu means the God of him. And if you really think about it, who's the him? The God or the Elohim of Job himself. And it's Elihu that allows Job to see, and he was rewarded seven times more than what he was at the very beginning. But now we're talking about that where he was. So he's back in Eden. Now go to Job 1 and just start right out at 6. Job or 5. It says where Yahweh starts talking about where Satan has been.
1 and 5. And it was so when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings.
This is a very, 5 is very, thank you, Sherry. That's really a very, he was making offerings for his sons. He was making offerings for his progeny. He was making offerings for his progeny. Okay? He's a type and a shadow of Yahshua the Messiah. Okay? who, you know, we've been getting it a lot, like in Hebrews, that he offered himself up once. And here's Job offering up sacrifice, not for himself, but for his progeny. Go ahead.
It may be that my sons have sinned
What'd you say?
against Elohim.
7.
And
That's okay, let's
Yahweh
go.
said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, From going to and fro on the earth, and from...
Whence? Where have you come from? From going to and fro on the earth. Okay? So where is he? Going to and fro and up and down. All right? Where is he? All over the earth plane. So, where are you going to hide from him? All right? All right. And when does he do his opposing? All right? Go and get me Genesis, the first commandment. When does he do his opposing? See, and what I want to get across to you is that when you kind of look at all this ancient history and you see it going on in this present day, and it's going according to the same pattern because Yahweh's purpose overturns and overturns, to me, even though it, you know, talking about Satan makes me realize that, wait a minute. Yahweh warned us, Yahshua warned us right from the get-go. Has anybody ever heard of Reverend Henry Lyons?
Yep. Yeah. He's at it again.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
Does anybody know what he loves to put on his walls of his house, office, in my neck of the woods, because that's where he lives right now? All right? He's got pictures, framed pictures of Benjamin Franklin. Do you know what I'm talking about when I'm saying Benjamin Franklin? The C note, the $100 bills. He's got a little fish on a counter, on a little, you know, whatever. You're sitting, I can't think of it. What is that called that's right next to your couch? A little end table. Thank you very much. Whatever it takes. But anyway, it's a clear fish, you know, and it's got a little mouth that you can stick stuff into it. Guess what's inside the clear fish, the clear glass fish? Pocket change. Okay? He goes around, he's got his favorite collection of rare coins, which the article, I have it right here, the article basically says they're not rare coins. But he calls them rare because he goes around and he picks them up off of wherever he sees them. You know, I've found a dime or two in my years on this earth, right? And you pick it up and you pocket it, right? Okay? And that's what he's got in his office, all right? It's all about the money. The Prince of Tyre was all about, the Phoenicians, what were they all about? The money. The money. All right? Now, what do I have?
Genesis.
Okay, that's what we have. When? When does he do his business? Okay, we got that in Revelation. Okay, and they were overcome by the blood of the Lamb, and where was Satan cast down? Into the earth, right? Okay? And basically you can read all of Genesis. The earth was without form and void. Darkness was upon the face of the deep. All the days of creation. All right? But all the while it's being created, who's there? Lying dormant, if you will. Right? Because he really right now doesn't have anything to do. Okay? So go ahead and read that for me, please.
Okay, 2:16, and Yahweh said, Command the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die.
Okay, so this is Yahweh Elohim in the garden saying, don't eat of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. All right? Immediately almost, right? Okay? But there's no timing in the Garden of Eden. I understand that. But then, all right, now he's got a job to do. Because this is what Yahweh set him up to do. Just like Tara said, to oppose Yahweh himself. In essence, you can think about it, he's not even opposing me. He's not opposing you. He's not opposing Job. He's opposing Yahweh himself. Because what does he say to Yahweh about Job? You took away all his family, right? The one that you read. He's going to curse you to your face. Did Job curse Yahweh to Yahweh's face? No. So then Satan goes up and says, all right, let me mess with his flesh. All right? And we all know what it's like when we are not feeling well in our own bodies, right? It messes with our minds sometimes. Big time. All right? So that's what Satan says. All right? You let me mess with Job himself, and he's going to curse you to his face. And what does Yahweh say? It's in 2 and 6. It says, I will let you do it. See, Satan was given permission, but he was not given permission to take what from Job? His life. And in essence, that's what Elihu allowed him to see. All right. So anyway, what do I have? Okay, so now we have Genesis 3 and 1. So now we have, when does he start it? After a law is given. All right? That's when he starts his job. Somebody gets a law, that's when he gets it. And you might wonder, well, how does he mess with us now? Because, after all, this law and the Mosaic covenant law is out. All right? Get me just quickly, get me Romans. No. Get me this after. Do Genesis first. Genesis, the 3rd chapter.
Genesis 3 and 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahweh Elohim had made.
Right. He was created. I mean, I read all of Ezekiel, but we've all seen this before, right? We read Ezekiel. He was perfect in his ways until the mystery of iniquity, or until iniquity was found in him. Every precious stone was his covering. We read it in the scripture reading, right? He was perfect. Go ahead.
And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Yahweh said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Uh-huh.
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Yahweh hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Okay, so was that the law that was given? Mm-hmm. Eve is repeating it perfectly. It's fine. She's doing a great job. She listened well. A for the day. Right? Okay? So what does Satan do to her? Go ahead.
And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for Yahweh doth know it in the day ye eat thereof.
Totally blew her mind. She thought she answered correctly. And Satan's going, no, you didn't. Okay? You're not going to die. Who told you that you were going to die? Yahweh, this is what Yahweh why he really doesn't want you to take that tree. Go ahead.
5. For Yahweh doth know in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
See, and I love Yahweh's purpose because, there's so many levels that can be worked with, all right? So when she took of that fruit and she gave it to her husband, were her eyes opened? They saw they were naked, okay? Did they understand, just like Satan said, did they understand that they once had something good and now they're in big trouble? Okay, so they understood the difference between what? Good and evil. Okay, because once their eyes were open, they went and tried to cover up with the fig leaves, all that other good stuff, right? I'm telling you, And just because there was nothing in the tool shed there between Adam and Eve that could possibly, he's that good. Satan is that good. And he can still mess with us to this day. He's that good. But always, he provides a way of escape. Because when Adam and Eve were taken out of the garden, did they go out unprotected? Did they go out of the garden unprotected?
No, Yahweh gave them clothes.
Yahweh gave them clothes. These people in the wilderness for 40 years, were they ever unprotected? No. Shoes did not wear out, and they had clothes. All right? It's like Yahweh's purpose is pretty amazing. Okay? Pretty amazing. So anyway, the point here that I'm making is that when does he do his business? When a law is given. Well, what kind of law is given to Yahweh's progeny? What is it, July 12th? I lose track of time in the summer. July 12th, 2017. What is Yahweh's law? In a simple way that we can think of it, because I have a simple mind, I want to go to Romans, the 8th chapter.
Romans 8.
Uh-huh.
1.
Right.
There is therefore now no condemnation.
Okay, let's stop right there. I don't want to get that one. I want Deuteronomy 6 and 24. You stay there.
Okay.
And Jennifer, get me Deuteronomy 6 and 24. All right. So, messed with Adam and Eve after their law was given. All right. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 6 and 24. And Yahweh commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahweh our Elohim, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is at this day.
To do all the statutes, and the statutes that is being talked about in Deuteronomy are the Mosaic law that was given unto Moses and to the children of Israel. All right? And it would be good to preserve them alive. Okay? But we all know that once that law was given, you know, and part of that law was given before that whole law was given, right? Because when Moses went up the first time, what did he get? He got the 10 Commandments, okay? And then he goes up and he starts seeing the days of creation and all that other stuff. And what did the children of Israel do? Break the first commandment, okay? They break the first law of them all, right? And they proceeded to do that all the way through. It was 40 days from the Red Sea to the Jordan River. And that's when they sent the spies over in Numbers, okay, and comes back. He came back with all those grapes, all the proof that, yes, this is Canaan's land, the land flowing with milk and honey, all that good business, all right? But they believed the report of the 10 false witnesses over Joshua and Caleb, right? Caleb and Joshua say, yeah, no, let's go up. We can take it. We have Yahweh on our side, right? Never mind that all the way through this wilderness of Sinai, he was a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. They never had to walk in darkness, ever. All right? So, they didn't listen. All right? So then Yahweh, and I'm just, you know, because number one, I'd have to take time to go find the scriptures, but they're in there, you know. Yahweh says, okay, I'm not with these people. I am not, you know, and there's another thing. And there's another thing. I want to go back where Lisa was the last time she was up in Deuteronomy, the 8th chapter. Is that where you were? And I want to get Hebrews, sorry, scripture readers, I really apologize. If you could hold on to that. You're fine in Deuteronomy. You're done in Deuteronomy. We got that. But let's go get Hebrews, the 4th chapter. Okay, yeah, hold on. Okay. No, it's not, it's the 3rd chapter of Hebrews. And okay, so get that in Deuteronomy where it talks about how they proved the children of Israel. He proved the children of Israel, right? What is that? Deuteronomy 8 and what?
8:2.
8 and 2?
Yep.
Okay.
Still in Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy 8 and 2.
Right.
Oops. And thou shalt remember all the way which Yahweh thy Elohim hath led thee 40 years in the wilderness to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no.
To humble thee and to prove thee, whether thou could keep his commandments or no. But we know, once the commandments were given, my gosh, Satan had a job once again. All right? He had a job. Okay? Now go get Hebrews, the 3rd chapter, and I want... Oh, shoot, I can't find it now. But anyway, it's in I want where they humbled and they proved me. Not the children of Israel. They proved Yahweh. And it's in Hebrews 3 and 9. Thank you.
3 and 9. When your fathers tempted me.
Pick it up. At 7, yep.
Wherefore, as the Holy Spirit saith, today if ye will hear his voice, harden not your hearts, as in the provocation in the day of temptation.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about here. Did they harden their hearts when the 12 spies came down? As in the day of provocation. Yes, they did. And Yahweh said, don't go up now because I am not with you. What did they do after that? They went up anyway. And was Yahweh with them? They were slaughtered. All right? But did Yahweh ever truly, in principle now, let the children of Israel go? No, because this is his purpose, and he loves his purpose. He said it every single time when he started the purpose. From creation, every single day was good. Go ahead and read that, Carol.
Harden not your hearts, as in the provocation in the day of temptation in the wilderness.
Right.
When your fathers tempted me, proved me, and saw my works 40 years.
Tempted me and proved me and saw my works for 40 years. All right? Okay, now go get Romans, the 8th chapter.
Romans 8 and 1. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in the Messiah Yahshua, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit.
Okay, walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. Keep going.
For the law of the Spirit of life.
What? For the law. There's another law coming in, right? And I'm, there's some really excellent lectures out there that explain that in very good detail. But he's talking about another law, not that Mosaic law. For the law of the Spirit of life has what?
In Yahshua the Messiah hath made me free from the law of sin and death.
Made me free from the law of sin and death. Now why does anybody on this planet of a religious inclination, why do you go to church in the first place? You want to be saved from sin? And ultimately, don't you want to be saved from death? Especially us that get a little bit older in years. We start realizing, wait a minute here. Oh yeah. It will come. And it will not tarry. It will not tarry. It will come. All right? But this law of Spirit of life that Yahweh put down has made us free from the law of sin and death. So that's the law that we're under now, the law of the Spirit of life, right? So what is Satan going to do to you, and what is he going to do to me?
Tempt us.
Tell us there is no.
There is not. Go and get me Luke, the 4th chapter. And I will still get into Dr. Henry Lyons. Because it's not the man, it's the nature that I want to get into. Because it does not change. Just like Yahweh's nature does not change, he by nature is a creator. Yahshua by nature is a salvationor. That's not even a word, but that's okay. By nature, he's a savior. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. That's his nature. Can he sway from his nature?
No.
Can Satan sway from his nature? Go back and read all the little business about that Pharaoh down here in Egypt. The frogs. He hated slimy frogs. And they were hopping all around in his house. So he goes up to Moses and he entreats Moses, tell Yahweh to get rid of these frogs. Right? So Moses entreats to get rid of the frogs. And when Pharaoh looks around and sees all the dead frogs, what does Pharaoh do? Hardens his heart. Yahweh sends lice. Oh, get rid of the lice. Yet Moses entreats, get rid of, what does Pharaoh do? Is he being true to his nature? So here's this Reverend Lyons. He goes to prison for 5 years, for 5 short years, because he whatever. I will try to get to this really quickly at the end. I just want to get some of the scriptures just to set it up, just so you see this is still occurring. And the people bought it. The New Salem Baptist Church was on the brink of destruction. They were a broken church, so they brought in a broken minister to save their church. Within 6 months or so, I could be whatever, can't find it, he had doubled their membership. All right? So he was like a savior in their eyes. Okay? Now they knew that he, because of his whole little business with money, that they couldn't give him like he had with his old Bethel Ministries. He was the signer on the accounts. Bad sign. Bad sign. But he was a signer on all the bank accounts, all right? And with the National Baptist Council, he became president. Oh my gosh, the things that he did. In this article, it talks about that he has to pay back well north of $5 million from his first infractions. Well, if it's well north of $5 million, what $1 million do you think it's close to? I would say 6 million if it's well north. All right? And what's the number of the beasts that we have here? Okay? Whatever. You know? I mean, it's just like the job is always associated with a number as well. Right? All right. Now, what do I have? I'm sorry.
Luke,
but
8th chapter.
4th chapter.
4th chapter. Okay.
Okay. Now, his job is to oppose and exalt himself of all that is Yahweh. Okay? And he's powerful. I've gotten this many times before, but it still blows me away. I think it kind of like just tells you how powerful that mystery of iniquity truly is. Because here's Yahshua. He has gone through his death, burial, and resurrection. All right? Being baptized by John in the Jordan River. And then he goes up into the wilderness, fasts for 40 days, and then the mystery of iniquity comes upon him. And that's what we're going to be reading now. Go ahead.
You want me to start at 1 or 5?
Start at 5.
And the devil, taking him up into a high mountain, showed unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time.
That always blows me away.
Yeah.
Look up that word moment. It's a moment, it cannot even be measured. That's how small it is. And he showed him all the kingdoms of the world. You don't have to do it now. But, you know, in your own time. Yeah. Go ahead.
6. And the devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee, and the glory of them. for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will, I give it.
Right.
If thou therefore wilt worship me, all shall be thine.
If you worship me, all it's going to be yours. Everything I showed you just now. Go ahead.
And Joshua answered and said unto him, Get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship Yahweh thy Elohim, and him only shalt thou serve.
And this is just an interesting aside, because when he starts talking about his death, burial, and resurrection, what does Peter first start saying? And what does Joshua do? He turns around and he says, Get thee behind me, Satan. Right? And everybody thinks that he's talking to Peter. I mean, the way it's, but he's not. We always talk about those theories, concept. Was that a theory or a concept in Peter's mind? No. What Joshua says is going to happen will happen. So he's talking, get thee behind me, you concept, you theory, right? But anyway, keep going.
9, and he brought him to Jerusalem and set him on a pinnacle of the temple.
A pinnacle of the, in other words, it was the highest point in Herod's temple. And I'm not going to have time to get even into Herod and the 4 Herods. All right? They were the kings in Judah at the time of the Roman occupation. All right? And do you know what Herod means? Herod means hero. The name Herod means hero. And if you're the son of the morning, are you going to look like a hero? If you're that Prince of Tyre with every precious stone on your covering, are you going to want to, oh, I'm going to get behind that guy. You know, he looks like he can do some real good business. Right? Go ahead.
And said unto him, If thou be the Son of Yahweh, cast thyself down from thence. For it is written, He shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee. And in their hands they bear thee up, lest at any time thou shalt dash thy foot against a stone.
Right. And what does Joshua say?
And Joshua answered and said unto him, It is said, Thou shalt not tempt Yahweh thy Elohim. And when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season.
Did you hear that? He departed from Joshua for a what? Ever? For just a season. Go and get me John 14 and 30.
John 14 and 30. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me.
Okay, here this is after he talks about the Comforter, which is the Holy Spirit, will come in my name. He will teach you all things. And then after he says that, say it again.
Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of the world cometh, and hath nothing in me.
Has nothing in me. So why does he do it? Because there's nothing of Joshua inside of him. That's why he does it. He has nothing in Joshua, according to Joshua himself. So why does he do it? Go and get me Isaiah 14 and 22.
Isaiah 14 and 22. For I will rise up against them, saith Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith Yahweh. I will also make it a
Isaiah 14 and 8.
Isaiah 14 and 8. Yea, the fir trees.
Oh my gosh, I really am not calling it right, am I not? How art thou fallen? Thank you, Sherry.
12, okay. Okay.
That's all right. That's all right.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart,
How art thou fallen from where? Heaven. All right. Oh, Lucifer. Son of the morning.
Which weaken the nations.
Oh my gosh. I just have a lot of things going, sometimes you just have to like stick to the thought, okay? So that's what I'm trying to make myself do. Go ahead.
13, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh. I will sit also upon the mount of congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
Above the heights of the clouds, I am going to be like the Most High. All right? And it has nothing to do with Yahweh. There's nothing, Yahshua, nothing. Okay? He wants to usurp Yahweh's purpose. All right? That's his job. Because Yahweh's purpose right now in this age and dispensation, just like we talk about in the 10th aim, is for us to inherit eternal life now. Okay? Wouldn't it be wonderful for Satan if he would constantly cause us to doubt that inheritance? That it's not really ours? That you were never really meant to have it in the first place? Of course that's what he's going to say. It's just that's what he's going to say. Not saving you. Period. All right, do I have anything else holding? No? Okay. Now look at, I'm just going to, because I don't want to, I want to at least give somebody like 15 minutes of time. So I'm just going to go over some of the, this is 3 times investigation. Henry Lyons diverted money from Tampa Church that offered him redemption. This church offered him redemption. All right?
Where is that church located?
It was just outside of downtown.
On Nebraska.
It was burnt to the ground. And Henry Lyons, I remember watching this on the news. Henry Lyons was there before dawn with all the fire trucks, and he was on the news, and they were saying, yeah, we're down, but we're not broken, distressed, but, whatever, that whole 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter, basically that's what he was saying, right? In this article, it says they never figured out how that church burned. And that church burned when they were starting to question his business. That's all I'm saying. And that's all the article says, too. That's all the article says. All right? And then they got grants and stuff like that to build a new church. But it was a historical church. It was like 100 years old. Do you remember it?
I used to go to that church when
really?
I was younger. It was another church.
New Salem. It was called
Missionary. They used to partner up together.
New Salem Missionary. Did it look something like this?
What's the address on?
Oh, I don't know if it says the address on here.
Nebraska, yeah.
Yeah, it's right downtown. Yeah. So, okay. All right. New Salem is small and was often struggling. Okay, it offered the infamous preacher a chance at redemption. Okay, however, he never had direct, and so, he's an adversary. He's a son of the morning. He wants to oppose everything that, he basically, they talk about in this article about the fact that he embezzled millions, like I said. But now it's almost like this one, it's only like in the 500,000 that he took. But it's almost worse because this time he took it from parishioners on fixed incomes. All right? He set up accounts that went to another church. And he called it his breach fund. Okay? Because when he was in prison, he read Isaiah the 58th chapter and talked about how, you are going to do this building, da-da-da-da. And I didn't read Isaiah. I should have, but I didn't read it yet. That you will fill the breach, or in other words, the hole that is in Israel. All right? So he took that to me as a sign that he's going to be one to fill this breach. And he was supposed to take the money that he had sent to that breach fund in another church that's in Lakeland, okay? And the guy that ran that church was the one that ministered to lions in prison. And some of the comments, did you read this, Chuck?
Yes.
Okay. Some of the comments that minister says is kind of like, what? You didn't know anything about this fund, yet it was set up under the auspices of your church? All right. It was just really weird. This is comments. This is one slick cat man. This is somebody that was a former president of the church and one-time Lion supporter. I don't know how you take advantage of people like that. It's like, dude, do you sit up at night thinking of ways to do stuff? I just don't see why you want to come and do people like that, especially people that had taken you in. All right? And it's like, this whole article, it referred back to other articles. One article just after he went to before he went to prison, there was an article that came out, "The Struggle for the Soul of Henry Lyons." And the whole thing is, he was raised by his grandfather, because his dad was a deadbeat dad, right? And his grandfather wanted his grandson to turn out better than his own son. So he made Henry go to church and, whatever, okay? But he ended up having like 4 children out of wedlock. Wherever he traveled, he would have a different mistress in a different town.
That's how he got caught the first time.
Well, yeah, at Tierra Verde. I mean, because his third wife, it was his third wife, but when he got the Bethel Ministries Church, he claimed that his third wife was really his first wife. He's a liar from the beginning. From the beginning. And he came contrite. He said, I'm a broken man, you're a broken church. Together we can really, mend our ways, whatever, and have this coming out clean. All right, so from this other article, it says, all his life he straddled the line between common and confession. Between con man or confidence man, right, and confession, okay? Between scoundrel and saint. To people who heard his sermons, it was really unreal how such a gifted man, and this is what's so key, he heard his sermons and how such a gifted man could be so deceitful, all right? And one of his estranged girlfriends, she was interviewed in this other article, and she goes, yeah, he knew the word or the Bible, but the devil knows the word too, So, I mean, pastor for and then week after week, members were told their tithes were not enough, the money they needed more. And it has like ledgers where it goes to breach ministries, $4,000, national trusted, he tried twice to get back into the National Baptist Council. He tried twice and he didn't get in. The first time he set up his own Florida trust fund and he had his own little conference. And at the conference, any church that came had to give him money, okay, gave his little conference money. Well, guess what? It went to this Lakeland church under that trust fund. And then when he tried to run again and he didn't make it, he set up the National Trusted Partners or something. I don't have the exact thing right now. All right? And once again, any church that signed up on a national, he just wanted to get that whole national prestige back. I will be like them. He was pursuing being the top dog at the expense of his parishioners. All right? Now look at the difference here. We have Yahshua, the Messiah, who says, take this cup from me. Okay, he is feeling it, folks. He's feeling it. He knows what that mystery of iniquity is going to do to him. All right? And he had, at this time, was inhabited inside a physical body. And when you get a cut or a bruise, does it hurt? Yes. All right? You break a bone, does it hurt? Yes. All right? Nevertheless, he sweat blood, folks. He felt that. But he was doing that so that he could give us the law of the Spirit of life. His people. That mystery of iniquity could care less about you. But man, can he make you think that he does care about you. He doesn't. All right? And this is, to me, as scary as this is, we all have to put it in the hands of Yahshua the Messiah. We truly do. All right? But this, he has not changed. I could stick this little article right where Adam and Eve went wrong, because it's the same MO. It is the same who, what, where, when, why, and how does he do it? How does he do it? What did he do with Eve? How does he do it? And what did it do for Eve within her own conscience? What did it cause her to do? Nah, what did it cause her to think in her mind? Think about it. She thought she was saying the right words, right? She word for word what Yahweh said. Thank you. All right. Doubt. Did Yahshua say that he was going to save you? All right. Then let's bank on it. All right. And let's bank on it. And there's a good 15 minutes left, unless that's a better timed clock than before. So I just don't, would like to do something else. Thanks. Oh, I had one going.
I might have.
Oh, sorry.
No. Since we're talking about the mystery of the thing.
Oh, I forgot I had that. I'm yelling out. Yep. I got to go to, I was away for a week. I went home, but, so I got into the Syracuse class Saturday. I didn't go Wednesday because we're out of town. We took the kids to Hershey Park, Pennsylvania. And, the first day we were there, on the way there, excuse me, we were held up like 45 minutes on the road. There was a bad accident. And then when we got there to the hotel, we're waiting in line. And the people just kept staring at their computers. And it's like, what are you people doing? Come on. Well, finally, the manager of the hotel came out and said, our computers are down. And he was giving out Hershey bars and whatnot. So we thought, well, this day is not going very well at all. And so, of course, the third thing had to happen. So they're supposed to have a great fireworks show, and you get the shuttles back to the hotel. But where you wait for the shuttles, they stop shuttling while the fireworks go on. So we were standing there waiting, and they were doing the fireworks. After 10 minutes, everything stopped. So we didn't know what happened. We thought, 10 minutes? So we got on the bus, and then I heard the bus driver saying that there was a fire started or something like that in the grass. So they had to stop the whole fireworks show. So that was the third thing. Don't we always say things come in threes? So anyway, I actually didn't know if I was going to make the Saturday class because I was only there a week. And I always try to see my cousin and my niece. And so that didn't work out. My cousin happened to be working on Saturday, which she never does, but her boss was out of town. And it didn't work out to see my niece. Yasha was not going to let me miss class, I'm telling you. So I'm one of these people, too, that I'm afraid of lightning. And I don't like to drive in horrific rain. I do it. I got caught coming home the other night from Pam's house. I couldn't see a thing. And I do it, but I always think if it's lightning really badly when it comes time for class, I may just be a few minutes late, guys. In 4 years, it's never happened where I've had to not get here. I mean, to me, that just
He's not going to let me miss class. It happens all the time. Anyway, so of course when you travel you have to get up, you know, and speak. I was only going to say a few short things, which I did, and I was thinking about, I started out with well, first of all, I thought about, Joel was talking about the lie with that magazine article, and I thought, well, I'll just say a few things about that. And so when I got in and sat down, I looked at the board, and Rick had written down Genesis 3, 1 through 13, which brings you to the Garden of Eden and the lie in that. And I thought, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it that he had picked that. So anyway, I just gave a little thing on the lie and the truth. And, you know, with the lie, I was just pointing out, you don't want to be lying, because if you're lying, you're with this guy down here, you know. And there's a lot of bad things that can happen when you start lying. It's just not a good thing. It's never going to be good if you lie, you know. And the biggest thing for me with the whole lie thing is trust, you know. I mean, like if my spouse said, well, oh God, I had a hard day at work, I had to stay late, blah, 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 and then I heard that he was at a bar or something, I don't know if I could ever trust the guy again. You know, I mean, to me, that's how important it is that you need to be truthful. So I just kind of brought that out. And then I just talked about, if you flip the other side and you've got Yahshua, well, first of all, the lie to me equates to evil. It's never good, like I said, it's evil. So the lie to me equals evil. So when you flip it to Yahshua, that will always equal love. It's always going to equal stability. We've said from the beginning, it's said that this is a love story. The story is never going to change. It's always going to be the same. And this is the side we want to always be on. So I just said a few things like that. And then Rick got up and he picked up the magazine. He said, is this the magazine article that Joel was talking about? And I said, yeah, it is. What a coincidence. I couldn't believe it. So I'm just going to point out a few things that he said, because he really cleaned up after me, you know, and said a few things. But anyway, let's see. Oh, first of all, he started out saying, is Joshua a liar? Now, obviously, we're all going to say, of course he's not a liar. You know, so he said, if he's in you, then you're not a liar. So you need to get Yahshua in you. You need the Holy Spirit in you, you know, to be truthful. He was also mentioning you have to work harder to find the truth today. And the minds are already made up. So people are going to believe, are not going to believe the facts. And I don't know if he's talking about the politics with that, but that's the way I was kind of looking at it, because if you think about both sides of the political thing and everything that went on with that, I mean, it was just unbelievable, some of the stuff that was coming out, you know, against each other, and it didn't matter. You know, they still had the belief that that was their person. They weren't going to change their mind no matter how bad it sounded. And it's still going on today. I mean, and I hate to say it, but in our top office, we've got a lot of lies going on there. And, you know, and the people that are with him, they don't care. They just, it goes right over their head. They figure that the press is the one that's, you know, pushing the lies, and I don't know, it's just unbelievable to watch it all, but it's unlike anything I've ever seen. So Rick also said, so I talked about if Yahshua was in you, the Holy Spirit, you know, you're not going to be lying. He said when you have the demonic nature, you can't help but to lie, and you're going to end up, you will be lying. And our soul and nature is dead with a demonic nature, and that conversion takes place with the Holy Spirit, and your nature will now be to tell the truth. You'll automatically should be telling the truth if you've got that, the correct nature. And he also said, your eyes are blind to the flesh and open to the Spirit, or they are open to the flesh and blind to the Spirit. And of course, we're aspiring to ours being blind to the flesh and open to the Spirit. We don't want to be, we don't want the flesh in the way. The flesh has to go. And it's difficult to eliminate that in our lives, but that's what we have to do. We have to just get rid of that flesh. And then he also started talking about all the way down and a lot of the lies that have been generated. How Cain was a liar and Ham deceived the brothers, and he said Nimrod ended up really deceiving the whole earth plane with this whole system of worship that he set up. And it was just lying all the way down. And he also said the truth was also, played out all the way down and along the prophets. I think that's pretty much it, what he had to say. But it was really good. I was really shocked that that he went right to the, the same article that Joel had talked about. And so anyway, just a couple of little things that I thought were interesting that, if you don't mind me making a couple comments about my TV watching. I just like to, when you hear something that sounds right or aligns with class, I always feel so happy when I hear the right thing. So on The View, Jay-Z was talking about, he wasn't on there, they said he made these comments, that he had built this huge, beautiful relationship, but it wasn't built on 100% truth. So he said, it started cracking. It just started cracking. Everything started falling apart. So he said they realized that, and they had to tear the whole thing down and start from the beginning. And that's not easy to do, because that's where that trust comes in. And there was probably a lot of lying going on, maybe cheating. I don't know what was going on. But anyway, he said they had to start the whole thing from the beginning. And then one of the other gals said, yeah, you can't build a house on a cracked foundation. And I thought, yes, that's right. And I heard this other crazy thing on The View. I think that was yesterday. This was today. They were talking about gluten, and somehow communion got brought up. Oh, I think Whoopi Goldberg brought it up. And she said, there's one place you'll never, that will never go without gluten, and that's the Vatican, because the communion wafer has to have gluten to be in continuity with Jesus. So, now they said Jesus ate wheat bread. I guess it was like 100% whole wheat bread. I don't know. And drank grape wine. So they have to keep in continuity. So, one of the girls was being funny and said, well, if you have celiac disease, you're going to have to convert to Protestantism, because you're not going to be able to take the wafer from the Catholic Church. Oh, my God. And another one actually said, can you imagine that they wouldn't, that they would not make like a gluten-free wafer, and these people will not be able to receive communion? Now, I don't think a wafer that big with gluten in it is going to hurt anybody, but, and then Whoopi asked where, she said, was there wheat back then? Where were they growing the wheat? And everybody was just,
So, what's her name, the comedian on there? Joy. Yeah, Joy Behar. She said that they had matzah back then, and she was trying to look it up on her phone to see if that was made out of wheat. So I think she had a hard time deciphering what it was telling her, but anyway, I just thought that was so funny. You know, like we say, we can watch things and, I don't know, class or something you're always thinking, I think, about what the truth is or things that have been said. And when they actually kind of come out and say some of these things, it's good. I like it. So anyway, yeah, we had a good class, and so basically we all shoot for having the Holy Spirit in us and being truthful and being on this side with the Yahshua all the way down. We don't want to be with the mystery of iniquity. So, and I enjoyed all the speakers about the mystery of iniquity. That's it. Thank you.
Are there any questions about anything that was spoken about from the floor this evening? I know it's time, but if you do have any questions, approach the speakers. And with that, a reminder that classes are held here every Wednesday from 7 to 9 and every Sunday from 11 to 1. You can all rise for the doxology. Now unto him who is able to keep us from falling and to present us faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy, to the only wise Elohim, our Savior, through Yahshua the Messiah, our Sovereign, belong glory and majesty, dominion and power, both before all time and now and ever. Let us all say, Hallelujah.